For this review, we have a look at two comedians' brand new DVD releases, both of which are comedians that I like quite a bit, both of which the releases are a little bit on the disappointing side. We'll start off with Jim Gaffigan's Pale Force. Now, I am about as big a Jim Gaffigan fan as you will find. I think he's one of the funniest stand-up comics working today, and generally speaking, you'll never find me saying a bad word about him. Pale Force, for those of you who don't know, is the Jim Gaffigan created animated short series that he came up with for the Conan O'Brien show, in which Jim Gaffigan and Conan O'Brien are scantily clad superheroes who are extremely pale, much as both of them are in real life. The problem with this DVD, which collects all of the Pale Force episodes onto one disc, there's 21 of them, they're all pretty short, 3, 4, 5 minutes each, is they're just not as funny in execution as they are in concept. Jim Gaffigan voices both himself and Conan O'Brien, and it's a very, very strong satire of Conan O'Brien. It's not something that is even remotely close to what he really sounds like. But the voices he uses actually can get a little bit grating after a while. And again, just not as funny as you want it to be. There's definitely parts as you're watching it where you want to laugh, but there are more of those parts than there are ones where you actually laugh, and that's a little bit disappointing. On the plus side, there is over an hour of bonus features, which includes Jim Gaffigan's appearances with Conan O'Brien on The Late Show, and those are all fantastic. I mean, the two of them together really are a lot of fun. I would have actually rather almost seen that be the meat of the disc and have the Pale Force cartoons be the bonus features, but that's not how it worked out. In addition, there are some new making-of featurettes that focus on the creation of Pale Force. So if you're a Jim Gaffigan fan, this is probably worth picking up because there are some funny moments in the Pale Force cartoons, and again, the extra features are quite a bit of fun. But it might be worth a rental if you could find it rather than running out and purchasing it. The second disc that we're looking at is Bill Engvall, Aged and Confused. I like Bill Engvall. I think he's a pretty funny guy. I've never really been into the whole redneck stand-up comedy thing. I'm not a big Larry the Cable Guy fan. I don't even care for Ron White all that much. But Bill Engvall's first couple of CDs I found extremely funny. I thought he had some really great stuff. And I love his talk about stupid people and the here's your sign bit that he does. With his later CDs, or DVDs in this case, he's not quite as good as he was in those first few. This special, which runs a little over an hour long, is actually pretty amusing, I will say. He's back on his game somewhat. I definitely laughed. I enjoyed what he talks about. He revisits some familiar territory and then also talks about some new stuff. But generally, he talks about the usual things in addition to stupid people. He talks about his children and his relationship with his wife and just kind of life in general, which is refreshing. He's a fairly clean comic with some occasionally mildly blue topics, but overall, it's a pretty good stand-up routine, and that's really the recommendation I can give. If you think you would enjoy a stand-up routine that's pretty good, then this is definitely one to check out. It's not going to have you busting your gut laughing, but neither are you going to regret watching it when you're done. Like Pale Force, probably worth a rental if you can find it for rent rather than a purchase. But Bill Engvall, and it's called Aged and Confused. Bill Engvall, Aged and Confused is a relatively enjoyable disc.